We're rolling. Homedos, my Pippi, was a hard-working man. In my own memory, I remember him working. He was a mason, and one of the functions that I actually saw him do myself was mixing mortar for laying bricks, of course, in a long, narrow trough. So the trough would be 2 feet, maybe by 7 or 8 feet, and he would have a hoe, and the hoe would have two large holes in it. And the way he would mix the cement would be back and forth with the hoe. All manual labor. Today they roll it in a drum, but now I'm a Pippi, man. He was all manual labor. And this would have been in the 30s because the house he built, fortunately my mom marked on the photograph, it was July of 1939 when the picture was taken of the house. So I'm assuming it was built in the 30s, of course. So he was working in the 30s. Now, the recession was in the 20s and the 30s, and they didn't feel the recession because he always worked. He was a hard-working man, like I say. And he was also a very modest man. I believe that his Catholic faith dictated to him so that he should be quite modest. So he always had like a pair of what we would call dress pants today and suspenders and a denim work shirt. That's the only thing I ever saw. And the day I noticed this, it was very, very hot outside. So, excuse me, it was very, very hot outside. So, he was perspiring, of course. Yet the denim shirt was done buttoned all the way up like this, with the perspiration ring all the way around where it was buttoned, and his sleeves were all the way buttoned down, and buttoned down, and it was perspiration all there and all down the back and the front. That's how hard he used to work. Now, payday was Saturday morning apparently, and he used to come to the house to get paid. So he'd be working off site in the 30s and things like this. When I saw him out, obviously it was well into the early 50s because I was born in '48. But back in the day when my mom was a kid, it was payday at the house, and his workers, would come over to be paid. So they line up, and Pippi would be on the porch. We'd be paying them all, and my mom would be the last one in line all the time. And she put her little hand out, and her dad, my Pippi, he would give her, I believe it was a dime, and then they would go down. The house is on Hall Avenue, Hall and Wyandotte Street. Previous video I said Howard for some reason. That's not true. That's not true. It was on Hall Avenue, so they could walk. I believe it would be east on, and then the Tivoli Theater, which is far different now, but Tivoli Theater was there, and they would go and see the latest matinee on that day. So my mom would get paid that way. And because he was a hard-working man, you remember the story about the big feather bed. I'd fall in there, go downstairs, smell the bacon and eggs, and it was bacon, eggs, and salt pork. So he would start his day with eggs, salt pork, and bread. That's how he would start his day, because he was a very active man, worked on his feet all day long, worked with his workers. So that's the kind of Pippi I had. He was a hard worker, and that has come down to my mom and my dad and me and my kids. We're all hard workers. That's my Pippi.